Hi there, this is the third video in the series Flutter What's Next, where my aim is to guide you through the journey of learning Flutter after you've pressed the Getting Started button. In this video, we're going to be approaching a subject that is critical to every application, namely authentication. And we're not only going to look at the front-end part of it. The goal is, by the end of this video, you will understand the concept of authentication, how it works from the moment you submitted your username and password to the point you want to access a protected resource. First, we want to see how it works. Whenever we want our application to communicate to a backend or a third-party service, we want to tell it who we are, right? One obvious reason for that is that you wouldn't want your IG profile to be edited by someone else. To demonstrate everything, I made a small application with Flutter and Go with a login screen and a list of names. Also, I made it so that you can add a name that is the protected endpoint. So how do we tell our backend who we are and why would it trust us? We're gonna tell our backend who we are by sending an additional header at every request. If you don't know what a header is, it's just another part of the request, just like the method and the body. So we're adding another header, that is authorization. And a long string. Where do we get this long string? Well, the backend will kindly give it to us whenever we pass its challenge. In this particular case, providing a right username and password. We will receive something that looks like this. It's ugly and we can't possibly know what it means. But from a front-end perspective, it's good enough. Put it into secure storage so no one can mingle with it. That means stealing from us. And we're good. Okay, here we don't want to stop understanding everything just because it's done for the front-end, right? You probably care what everything means. And happily, I have lied when I said we cannot know what it means. From a front-end perspective, it was true, but on the back-end, things become a lot more clear. And this is the moment we start looking into the code. Authentication. If you want to follow along, the GitHub link is in the description, right below the like button. I have a mono repo there with Flutter and Go, so you can follow along everything, so just download it. So let's start on the backend side, because this will make it very clear very fast. In authentication.go, there is the authenticate function, which is linked to the /authenticate endpoint. You can see that we first determine the validity of the user, and if everything goes right, we generate an authentication token. That also has claims. These claims will be available for anyone that has the decryption password, that is also the encryption password, your secret here that you'll see there. But that ideally should only be us. And what I mean by this is keep your secret secret. There are only two values here, that is username and exp, that is expiration date. After we create the token, we sign it and then we ship it to the user. That's authentication for you. Okay, we're not done, but if you understood so far, you're already there. For the ones that want to keep going, let's discuss a bit about our token. GWT is a standard way to encode information. We add the expiration time to see when the token expires. Ideally, we would make it like 15 minutes or more, depending on how much security you need. And we sign the key with our secret in order for nobody else to be able to read it or modify it. Now, our user will send us the token back every time, and we won't give the user a hard time. Now, let's look at the front-end side to see how it stacks up against our backend. In the file lib features authentication service auth_service.dart, you will see the counterpart to the function authenticate. Small addition, DO is the library we use to make HTTP requests. It's just easier to use than the HTTP default library. It's nothing fancy, don't be scared. Here you can see we make an authentication call, that is an HTTP call, to our backend. As I said before, it's registered in main.go under the /authenticate endpoint. We add our username and password to our HTTP request, and if the status code that was returned is 200, meaning everything went well, we receive the token and store it in secure storage. For this, we're using a package called Flutter Secure Storage. Nothing fancy about this one either, but a very useful map, and we're in! Hooray! So after you've done with the authentication, you need the authorization part. You have to actually send the token back to the backend. Now, again, in the main.go file, you can see that we have two functions registered on the /names endpoint. One for post and one for get. But one of them has an additional argument, and that is JWT middleware. Now, we want to use a hassle-free way of authenticating the user, and we don't want to repeat ourselves in every endpoint that is protected, writing the authorization part every time, checking if the token is valid, or if there is a token at all. So we make a function that will be called before every secured endpoint, the aforementioned JWT middleware. You can see it in middleware.go. We check if the token is present, valid, and not expired. If all these conditions are met, we can write the claims from the token to our context, so we can use it later in same map structure. If any of these conditions wouldn't be met, we would return an error to the user. But the user passed the challenge, so it's fine. Let's access the resource now. So we're gonna make a call to post/names. Or we're gonna make a post request to /names, having a body that includes a name. But we have to do something else again. We have to add the authentication token to our request, to our every request actually. This part is handled really nicely on the front end with the setup interceptors function that you can find in the same auth_service.dart. In the services constructor, we add some interceptors. One of them will intercept our requests and will add the new header to every one of them. So we'll basically catch it midair and add something to it and throw it away. And where we get that access token from? From secure storage, of course. So everything on the front-end side and on the back-end side is taken care of some kind of middleware. So we don't have to add anything handling this part in our business logic. That would be our other endpoints for the back-end and in the other services on the front-end. For the sake of the argument, just take a look and lib features names services nameservice.dart. Get names is an unsecured endpoint, but add name is a secured endpoint. And I am sure you cannot see any mention of the access token there in any of them. I am sure that if you follow the code so far, you've seen that I have bluntly ignored the refresh token. That was just as present as the access token in the storing it, sending it, generating it, and everything, right? That thing is just a convenience factor. You can clearly see that we've set up another interceptor for errors, like on error in the auth service in the front end. I hope you got that. So we generate another token that is called the refresh token that will expire a lot later. And if one request fails with the code 401, that is unauthorized, we make a call to the refresh token endpoint. We add a refresh token and then we get back the two tokens again, the access token and the refresh token. That we're gonna do the same thing as we did in authorization. And that refreshed the counter for our 15 minutes or however long we had the access token expire in. We're coming more towards the end of the video, so if you have any questions, leave them below the like button. If you liked it, like it. If you liked what you've seen here and you want to see more content like this, press subscribe. This has been me. Thank you for watching. Bye.